Hello, everybody, and welcome to Omen of Ilmater, which is being DM'd by our wonderful DM over here, Eric or Kunsai. What is up, buddy? How you doing?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm excited. I get to go murder a bunch more things with my sword. Sword. Oh, I have to choose my magic item. I didn't do that yet. I'll let you take over while I do that.
All right. So, quick recap of what happened last time. These guys were tasked with helping to retake the capital. Wow, the capital of the city-state Selavu. The capital being of the same name. Uh, After a quick succession of events, they found themselves in the castle, and they were tasked with capturing the treasury in an attempt to wrest the power from the current people who are holding the capital. So with that, they fought their way through the castle to the treasury and were able to capture it. After which they were faced with the dilemma of what next. They had the capital, but what would they do next? And we are starting our story again about 2 weeks after the events of what happened here. Things have been tense and rather difficult to say the least in the last couple of weeks. Even though you guys had the capital, the city state itself, the city state proper, was still held by the majority of the forces from the horde from the east. You There have been a couple of parties that have been sent out to try to recapture some of the food, and you have a little bit of food, but essentially you're working on almost the siege rations at this point, unable to pull any food from the farmlands. But you do have bigger problems because even if you were to retake this city state, your all sides are covered by enemies, and frankly, you need friends. Your This second week is marked with a couple of things in quick succession. Firstly, the Church of Ilmater has been being rebuilt over the past couple weeks. It is not finished yet, but it's well on its way. A lot of the town is still damaged, and they've been using the Church of Ilmater, which is the reason it hasn't been finished yet, as a sort of somewhere between a homeless shelter, a place to aggregate supplies and pass it out to the people, and just generally like a uh, a place for all of the people who are in charge at this point to come together, which unfortunately is no one really. You guys, and more specifically Elias, the priest who tasked you with this, has been kind of been an acting leader in this case, and you guys can quickly tell he is not someone who signed up to be a leader. Though he's capable and he's intelligent, he is at first kind of overwhelmed with all of the work that comes with it, and has looked to you guys, though none of you guys are exactly, leaders of men yourself.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Make mouth noises all you want, but you can't clobber anyone. So
I got a 14 charisma. I can lead people with my 8 intelligence and wisdom.
off this cliff. Huzzah! All right. But essentially, all of it boils down to you guys being called to speak to Elias weeks later, and he meets you this time in the castle versus the Temple of Ilmater. He actually meets you on the same balcony where we ended our last session, looking out over the people. The town, in just this rapid succession of 2 weeks, has gone from being a complete mess to having some semblance of life come back to it. People are in the streets again. That uneasy feeling of tenseness has lifted, and the people, even with their draining supplies, they seem happier. For a moment, you guys are able to get some satisfaction out of the hard work that you put in last time, but it's not long before Elias turns to face you, and you see the lines of stress on his face. He says, "Friends, I've called you because I again must ask of you something that I do not myself know how to complete. I had a vision last night, a dream. Ilmater spoke to me, as he does in these trying times. Our conquest cannot stop here. We must venture forward. We must go into the deserts of Thrumbin. We must take back the holds of the dwarves, and with them, we will get ourselves a true a true place of strength, somewhere we can consolidate resources, and maybe one day retake the continent for our own. These dreams are far off. If we're to ever see success for this, there is we need allies, and there remains only one free city-state in all of the world, and that is Demont. Far to the north here, the city-state of Demont is besieged, has been for some time, though they've been able to rebuff the advances of the army, and it has caused a stalemate. I have called upon our unsavory friend Garrett once more, and I'm hoping that he'll be able to lead you into Demont. From there, I need you to speak to the king, and get him to promise us forces for when we go to retake Thronemen. I can't say that this won't be a difficult task. They are ancient enemies. Thronemen for many years had outlawed arcane magics, and that grated on the people of Demont. My hope is that you'll be able to make them see straight. I know this is not a task that you signed up for. I know this is not exactly your areas of expertise.
The fighting here has grown slim. There are few to slay with my sword, few to bring the suffering from those that are too weak to defend themselves. If going north and finding the city that is under siege and killing those up there and bringing suffering to the wicked is a way for us to aid, then I will gladly do so.
I see it a little bit differently. Perhaps we can sway them to join us and be part of our cause.
When we bust
Don't
through the
have
walls,
to slay everyone.
When we bust through the walls, we certainly can do so. We can find those to aid us. I agree that more soldiers in the field is better than less, but that doesn't mean we can't even things out along the way.
Nevertheless, if Ilmater has given you visions, then we shall journey forward.
I'm thankful for your assistance in this matter. And as he goes to speak again, the door opens up, and Garrett strolls in with a smile on his face, and he says, looks like the party's all together. Excellent. So we can get right to work. So he already told you what's going on? He looks to the priest, who just kind of nods curtly at him, obviously not too happy by his presence.
Have we seen Garrett since last session and this session? Because you had said weeks had passed, but have we seen him during the interim, or has he been
Valid
ghosted?
question.
Very, very sparingly when you've seen him. Mostly it's him being drunk at a tavern.
Okay.
You weren't disclosed the amount of gold that he received.
Yeah.
But he spent most of his time buying up all the available liquor and getting as drunk as humanly possible.
Whoa.
So he's a typical adventurer type, while we're like all
That's
religious
not
types.
even cool though, because liquor, even though I don't necessarily my character is not the most moral person, but liquor is a way to ease pain and suffering in those that can't avoid it, right, or defend themselves from it. So if he's buying up the liquor and making it more difficult for those that are suffering, as opposed to his whiny ass,
He clearly must be suffering.
No. Either he's going to have a reason to suffer, or he's going to have to slow down the purchase of alcohol, or share it.
You have that
or
conversation with him
I
later.
will gladly have that conversation with him, and if I didn't have a chance beforehand, I will do so right now.
Right now.
So,
Dear aside, I'd like to keep continuing to use my visions if I can every day, that I'm not like doing something crazy. Maybe like healing people that are in need of it.
Yep, and all of your assistance would not go unnoticed. You guys have grown. You're already large amount of renown that you gained from helping retake the city has grown even further with your acts of kindness. And so you guys have found yourself fast friends to anyone who, anytime you needed aid of any kind, you would always be offered it by someone in the town. So Garrett says to you, so I don't know if Elias here has told you, but I'm actually an old friend of the king, the king consort, I should say. He and me went to the Bard's College years ago, back when, it wasn't a pile of ash. So maybe we'll be able to leverage that friendship for something. At least I hope so. But my job is to get you in the city. Your job is to convince this guy to give us some troops. So
is this the same way you got us in this city?
No, Demont is not so careless with the degradation of their walls. Any way like that will have been magically sealed. I have something a little bit more unorthodox planned.
Like stealing all the liquor from those who are suffering?
I stole nothing, sir. I purchased every last bit.
Mm-hmm. Instead of spreading the wealth with those that are suffering, you choose to keep it for yourself.
Oh, I spread the wealth to
For once in my life, Laura wants to hear Garrett speak, please.
I'll do that whole roll the shoulders back and stand tall.
Well, you see,
not to Ollie.
You see, the city of Demont, the capital itself, it is home to the College Arcana, which also happens to be the home of the castle where the king lives. And before her disappearance, the queen, she made it fly. So it's kind of floating above the city, and it serves as the main station point for most of the sieging that happens. And I may or may not have found a way to, let's say, change the way that the teleportation works to and from that platform. Unfortunately, the changes I made are kind of ones that I would leave behind. I would essentially make a circle of teleportation that would override the current one. So when I get you guys in, I'm going to be staying behind. And I'm going to have to find a more ordinary way to get in. But I have my means. Taking 4 people in and one person is a lot different. So what's going to happen is we're going to have to get close enough to the city that it will be within range of the circle of teleportation, and then I'm going to get you guys in. So that's essentially the plan. From there, you'll be responsible for getting a hold of the king and getting him on your side. I don't know the state of what's going on there, but we're going to have some stuff to talk about on the road. A little bit about the politics of this city. Hopefully it'll help you, at least somewhat.
And I assume there is another bank vault nearby that you will be able to loot after you part ways with us?
You think I'm going to try to rob the city of Demont? No. I'm going to get paid fair and square once this job is done.
They are not weak and suffering right now. You do not need to steal from them.
No, they're not weak and suffering. Many of the people who live there can, shoot fireballs at me, so I'm going to go ahead and pass on trying to steal from them.
How kind of you.
I know. So magnanimous. Well, if there's nothing else, good. You guys can collect your supplies. I will get mine, and we'll be on our way. Oh, Elias, by the way, I assume this means that we're sending out the raiding parties? Elias nods, and he says, okay.
Raiding parties, I say, looking to Elias, not happy with the title.
Elias, he looks almost sheepishly at you. He says that they're not raiding parties, so to speak. The lands outside of the city's walls, there are tons of fruitful farmlands. And unfortunately, we will not be able to retake those farmlands for some time. So in lieu of that, we will be sending out men to go and burn down the farms. We hope that by this action, we'll be able to force the soldiers off the land, and then using magics or just the labor of the people of this great city-state, we'll be able to regrow the farms in time.
I don't know anything about battle tactics, so because I'm dumb, so I keep my mouth shut and just nod.
That would hurt innocent farmers who are working on farms.
Unfortunately, yes, but in this time, we must all sacrifice. If there was another way, I would not be doing this.
Perhaps we'll talk to King of Demont about foods too, yes.
I don't know how much he'll be able to help, but I'm certain there's more people. There's people much more qualified in this manner there than there are here.
If City can fly, they have full pantry. It's correlation.
At least we can hope so, Lore. I wish you the best of luck, and I hope to see you again, my friends. Until next time, he extends his hand, and he'll readily shake each of your hands, and just kind of walk by Garrett, who has like his hand extended, and he just walks right by him, and Garrett just, all right.
I want to do one of those, like, as he walks by him and doesn't shake his hands, like, literally as his body gets out of the way, I'm making eye contact with Garrett, like, I saw that.
Gadira will shake his hand, but she is also watching him to make sure he doesn't steal something.
Garrett says, so I guess I'll just meet you at the front gate. If you have any last minute preparations, I'd do that now, because we're not going to be back for a little while.
How long is journey?
If we don't find anyone in the meantime, 2 or 3 weeks. Otherwise,
How long till we meet up?
as soon as you guys are ready. I'm ready to go. I just need to say some goodbyes and collect some last minute provisions. It'll take me a few minutes.
I understand that the city is suffering, and they can only spare so much by way of supplies. Have they no steeds to expedite this, not for my ease of comfort, but for theirs, since it'll decrease.
Oh
the
no,
time
that's
of-
with steeds. That.
Then we will ride those steeds hard, and they will also take the suffering from the weak.
Sure.
Exactly.
Well then, I'll leave you to get your various whips and chains for self-flagellation, and I'll meet you at the gate.
You are an ignorant man. I'll see you later.
No truer words have been spoken. And with that, he'll just walk out.
I'm excited. I have a -1 to handle animal, so it's like, move, you stupid horse.
That's like one of the only things I'm good at.
Oh, there you go.
But, you know, Lore is 2 foot tall. He's probably not riding a horse.
Yeah. A pony.
Maybe
So
a pony.
Pony. So, anything that you guys want to try to get before you leave the city?
I imagine we can get rations for the journey, right?
Yes, rations. As you're leaving, there's like a group of people standing outside with backpacks that they kind of hand off to you. You're explaining that essentially these are as much rations that the city can spare for the time being, as well as adventuring equipment that's been cobbled together. Hopefully, this will be of assistance in your journey.
I get my healer's kit and priest pack rekitted up, but otherwise I don't think, and components I guess, and she kind of makes her way.
Yeah, I think most of us just carry our stuff with us.
Yeah. Gadir packs.
Oh, you know what I will try and do? I'll try and see if I can acquire a set of thieves' tools. Because I have tool proficiency but no tools.
Oh,
Gotcha.
see, I have brewer's supplies.
So if you mention this to anyone, they will find you a set of thieves' tools to get. It's nothing fancy. They're just normal
stuff.
thieves' tools, but
Yeah.
it'll be good enough to do any minor lock picking that you need to do.
Lore can pick locks using fingernails, sometimes toenails, but tools help bigly.
The only thing I really want is a hammer, preferably like a smaller but heavy headed, a smithing hammer, but one of the ones that come to a finer point. Like if you're trying to like really put like a design into a hammer or whatnot. So it's like a good 3 to 4 pound head that comes to a rather fine point at the ends. Not a spike, but localized bludgeoning.
Yeah, so you can get a little stabby with your bludgeon. I got you. I read you. So they don't really have anything specialized right now, but the smith gladly will take about 20 or so minutes to hammer you a kind of rudimentary version of what you were looking for. It's not great, and frankly, it probably is not going to be great for it lasts for a whole lot of time, but it will definitely serve you for this adventure. And he'll gladly hand it off to you with the promise that during your time away, if he can spare the steel, he'll forge you a much finer one for your return.
Oh, you know what? We never went over what the stats were on my magic sword. I just made it a base sword from like.
Let me see here. So.
Other than the added bonus that I got from just being able to store a spell.
So, other than that, it would just be a basic +1 enhancement bonus to attack and damage, right?
Okay.
So
it's a +1 magic bonus.
Yeah, +1 magic bonus to attack and
cool.
damage.
Yeah, I wasn't keeping that in from last week, but I didn't want to bother you in the middle of the campaign.
Gotcha.
Cool.
All right. So, with that, you guys collect up your goods. You head to the front gate where Garrett awaits you. He kind of looks you guys over as you come up. He has 3 horses with him, and a rather large dog that has a saddle on it. He says, "Well,
I think this is not for Gadira, no."
Oh no, that's for you. His name's
Nor
Boris.
is both insulted and intrigued. I will ride Boris like mighty steed.
Little people riding dogs. Like, this isn't like offensive or anything. This is just like fact. I mean, if you want, I can get you a horse, but I'm sure that it will kill you if you fall off of it.
It is true, lore. Many of our stature ride all kinds of creatures. It does not diminish us.
Yeah, but the horse is awesome. Look at him.
I will be the one deciding how much awe he strikes in me, yes.
Gadira scratches the dog on his ear.
I mean,
And
he'll
hops
get
up
up
onto
on
her.
it, but not happy.
I'm assuming pony of some sort.
Yeah, it's still a smaller than a normal horse, but it is still a horse nonetheless. So with that, you guys head out on your travels. So during your travels,
We travel.
You during your travels,
Nothing goes wrong, right?
There is
Ilmater is watching over us.
You make your venture through the rest of the city-state of Silavu without any incident. Though you do see a number of different guard patrols. However, Garrett tells you simply that as long as you guys don't make yourself obvious, they're not going to harass you. They still don't know who you are. The only people that really saw you were the people inside the city-state, and anyone who saw you is dead. So,
whenever we get our first break of some sort, Gadira is going to use her augury.
Okay.
Whenever we do our first rest.
Okay, so with that, you...
Do you want me to click that for you?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's got a lot.
So chat can read it.
If it even fits in the thing.
Scroll has to do a little bit of scroll action.
At least it's not as big as the rage one. I think the barbarian rage is like
the control.
That's why for like Grommet I always like bullet point it.
And so essentially, you're just asking you're just asking to see if this adventure will turn out well for you.
Yeah, if the journey will be safe.
With that, you get wheel.
Cool.
I don't think I've ever seen them do that.
And so you guys are able to travel through the entirety of Silavu with unharassed, and then you make your way into the southern parts of Demont after a few weeks' time. Now, the southern parts of Demont are on the left-hand side. They're covered with a mountain range that leads all the way across all the way down the back, kind of the spine of Demont, and these are famous because they were mined for many, many years for magical gemstones. You can actually, even from your place at the bottom of the mountains, you can still see some of the mines opened up, though they've been long since abandoned. You see that this place has been scorched, to say the least. Most of the landmass has been destroyed. You can see smoke in the distance. As you get closer and closer, you actually hear the din of battle from miles away. And as you get to the point where you can hear the battle ahead, Garrett starts looking around more. He's obviously very nervous. And
is this another day, or is
this would be probably about a week and a half into the adventure.
Okay. And we hear the sound of battle noises.
Yep.
Gadir is gonna pick up her prayer wheel again and spin it and cast augury for that day. Then
I think what I'll probably say to her is she's going to, because we've seen her do this a bunch of times. I'll say, Gadira, I hear the sounds of war, but we should be able to step around them if that is the important task to take. Before you ask the questions of our faithful guide, should we be pointing our trek to or away from the sounds of battle?
Oh, all right then. Yeah, I just wasn't sure what the plan was. You're always so gung-ho about going into the storm.
I would rather take a few lives before we make our way into the city, but I understand that this is a bit of a democracy, and I respect your faith.
she gently puts the prayer wheel down. It's hanging on a chain, so it kind of just dangles from her belt loop that she has.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We are on mission of peace, after all. Maybe not get all your boots filled with bloods.
Well, if we fill them with the blood of our enemies, of their enemies, what's that old phrase? The one who slaughters the enemy is invited at the table, or something along those lines.
That may be genuinely good idea, and I am surprised that you have one, Ingram. I kid.
Yeah, I look down.
Garrett's I don't think that's even remotely how. That doesn't matter. We're only about a day's ride away from our location, but from here we're going to want to take it really slow because there's going to be lots of patrols, and if we get caught here, that's probably not going to go very well.
The city that we are infiltrating, who are they fighting right now?
They're fighting the Horde from the east. They have been.
So
exactly.
Why don't we kill our opponents and theirs at once, as we had just discussed? Wearing the blood of their enemies may aid us. Gadira, do you think that this is a good idea, or do you think this would be an ill omen?
And this is specifically to...
I'm speaking to you about, do we more or less jump into the battle and kill some of their enemies to assist them? Or do we just sneak into the city and hope that they don't ever notice that we were here in the first place?
While you're thinking, Law just pipes up.
Oh, I had an answer.
Oh.
I just wanted to know what you meant in specific. All right.
Well, you know how I feel about these types of things. If there are people in need and we can assist, why would we not do so? Why would we let them suffer if they are in need?
Lore has good answer. If we fall...
Oh, of course you do, Lore.
If we fall on the way to Dimont, then Selavu has no hope, and will starve, and will get overrun by hordes of people wearing masks. We are our only hope for Selavu, as case may be. So if we go into battle, and if Ilmater decides to look other way, for whatever reason, perhaps we are not meant to be in said battle, then we cause far more suffering than we intended to cause.
Gadira goes back to pick up her prayer wheel, and she holds it up, and she's like, well, shall we ask Ilmater what he fears?
I'll nod to that.
And now she actually does do it. She spins
that.
the prayer wheel to see where it lands.
And so this is kind of asking whether or not you should go into the battle.
Yeah, whether or not we should go into the battle.
All right. So with the question about specifically the battle, about going into fight these people on the outskirts of the wall, you get a result of woe.
It fears that our little lore here might be correct. For the journey ahead, if we shall take it, will bring us many woes.
I think we should move quietly, slowly, around this. I know it is not what some want to do. Be safety.
Good. We are taking advice from
Sacrificing
Taking advice from
some
what?
for the many. I can understand that, Ilmater. I can understand that.
And she actually makes a prayer in like another language.
Okay. And with that, he's going to try to keep you guys stealthy. So, if you guys would, for me, each of you roll a stealth check.
You want me to what?
And it's the stealth
Maybe
check.
Law wanted to do the stealthy route because he's actually good at stealth.
Yeah,
This is the one thing I can-
Kadir's never down with being. Well, I mean, she's down with trying, but she's just not stealthy.
Jesus. You tried. That's the
I'm
important
Listen, guys,
sure
I haven't
my legs are
bathed.
not the longest, and I'm wearing full plate armor. I got a shield. Things clink, you know.
Ingram hasn't bathed since we left the city because he hasn't had the ability to, and he can't cast prestidigitation on himself. He's got a really itchy ass right now, and he just keeps like scratching. And it's
I don't
making
need to
this,
know
like,
about Ingram's
clinking.
ass.
It's like clinking and scraping of metal as he's trying to like, oh, I got this itch right now. It's really distracting.
If these were
I might
baby
have an
kobolds,
ointment for that if you need some.
If you were baby kobolds, you would have been eaten by anything, like a big rat. You have to learn how to hide the voice, and just grumbles in his native tongue.
You see Garrett just looks very, very like upset, noticeably upset by how loud you guys are being.
At least I'm covering up for Gadira. Like Gadira seems like a whisper compared to my like shink shink shink.
So you actually spend the next couple days because Garrett makes you move very slowly, actually moving into the mountains for a time to try to keep as much cover as possible, which means you have to move very slowly, even getting off the horses a number of times to lead them rather than moving on them to make sure you can be as out of sight as possible. But on the second day, alas, you guys see off approximately like 200 feet away. You're not even sure how they got so close that you're noticing a group of 20 riders